Okay, home buyers, while this one might seem obvious, it isn't always. So if you're looking at a property, you want to be very, very clear on what is what belongs to the property and what you are required to maintain. And if there's an HOA, what the HOA is required to maintain. So to give you an example, you may not realize that in most places, the sidewalk in front of your house is your responsibility. So that if the sidewalk tiles are all cracked and become a tripping hazard, if you don't fix it on your own, the township's going to come out in most cases and require you to pay to fix it. So even though it's not your sidewalk in the sense that you can't close it off and build something else on it or make it inaccessible to pedestrian traffic, you are responsible for it. Also, fences. Sometimes people don't know who a fence belongs to, and if a fence is in disrepair, whose responsibility it is. So make sure if there's a fence, you understand whose it is. In a very specific case in the area where I work, there are a lot of creeks, and there's one particular street in the Wynwood area where there are retaining walls alongside the creek, and it runs behind several houses on one block. Those property owners are actually responsible for the cost of maintaining those retaining walls, even though they're walls for a creek, which nobody owns. That's all part of the township property, but they are responsible for maintaining that. I also had a peculiar case where there was a row home and a space and then a couple of single homes, and there was this sort of dilapidated garage, and the assumption was that it went with the property. And after my people bought the house, it turned out that they realized it actually wasn't deeded to that property, but no one could find records of whose it was, so they just sort of adopted it and use it. But technically it's not part of the property. So just a heads up to make sure that if there are any questions about what does belong to the property and what doesn't, and or which things the homeowner would be required to maintain, make sure you check before you buy.